All right, welcome to the dark. It is nighttime and it is very dark in here. And I wanted to do this because I want to sort of dispel a common filmmaking myth that I feel like I come across every single day, which is you need a low light camera to shoot in low light. And so it's dark. It's dark outside. It is the night. And all you can see in that window is the reflection of that lamp. That's not even a bright lamp. That's a 40-watt incandescent lamp. So that is a dim light. It is uncomfortably dim in here. It is just a tripping hazard. But I was trying to make a point. So my camera settings are ISO 3200 and my lens is at f2.8. And that's because most cameras can do ISO 3200 and a lot of lenses can do f2.8. Probably not your kit lens, but most lenses. And to my eye, and I keep coming back to this, 3200 f2.8 is more or less what my eye sees. So looking at the monitor and then looking at the scene with my naked eye, that's as close as I can get it. My eye does a little bit better with the lamp. The lamp in the camera is a little bit blown out, but short of that, honestly, this dark part with the couch might actually be easier to see on camera than in real life. So we're entering rods and cones territory for me. It is real dark in here. And yeah, you know, my caveman eye, I get my night vision, but as soon as I look over here, any night vision I had, it's gone, because that is, you know, it's like when headlights pass you. As soon as they go by, you're back to looking into pitch black. So that's what we're dealing with. But to be clear, it is, if somebody was trying to have a conversation with me in this room, I would not be able to see much of them. It is that uncomfortably dim in here. I would want to bring the lights up somehow, because it is, you know, we're entering sort of watching a movie territory and how dark it is in here. So do you need a low light camera to shoot in low light? I mean, the thing you're getting out of a low light camera like an A7S III is high ISO noise performance. And so like my Blackmagic 3200, a lot of noise, a lot of speckling going on, not just in the shadows, but sort of just everywhere. It is what it is. You know, you can denoise it in post. You're going to get different results based on a million factors, but you can denoise it if you need to. But that's the sort of what I want to get to is every, you know, for your documentary or for your videography or just for your narrative film, is it important story-wise to have it this dark? And if it is this going to work? Is the noise going to be distracting? Is the fact that you can't really see anybody going to be a problem? I mean, you can hedge your bets as much as you want. Josh Yeo actually on Make Art Now did actually fantastic low light. He shot in the desert under like pale moonlight, and it looks absolutely incredible. It looks alien, but that's not what we're talking about. I'll link that video, but what I'm talking about is, you know, you can sort of hedge your bets a little bit if you do need it to be this dark, because it's, you know, it's like distractingly dark in here. First thing is you can get your subject closer to the lamp. That's going to make them look brighter. Also make them face the light, because that's going to help. But short of that, you know, white wall helps, have a white t-shirt helps, you know, something to bounce the light. I got a pillow. Get as much of that lamp jumping in on the face as possible. I can't really tell, but I'm hoping my monitor is giving me a little bit of an eye light, a little bit of a shimmer. I can't tell. Otherwise, you know, just a little flashlight or a phone light behind the camera to get that glint, that really sells it. But, you know, in most circumstances, sure, it'd be nice to be able to see into the dark, but if you're already in the dark, you're either going to commit yourself to the story of, you know, shooting in the dark because you want to make it look like how it's supposed to look, or you want to bring the light up by adding lights. And that's kind of what it is. And so, yes, the A7S III can see really deep into the shadows, and that's great for, I guess, like nocturnal stuff. You know, if you're doing a documentary where you need to follow an animal that if you turn on the light, it's going to scare them, sure. But for most everything else, again, ISO 3200, f2.8, it's shockingly dark in this room. And so if you're cool with that, then you're cool with that. And so, you know, and this is not just my camera. I also shot on, this is a Panasonic GX8 at 2.8, 3200. It's basically a GH5 or a GH4. But again, 3200, how does this look? You know, we can denoise it. So let's do that. Yeah. Here's the Canon Rebel SL1. So a pretty old 1080p camera. Let's denoise it. You're going to get what you're going to get. And so, you know, if the vibe is, this is a really dark room, then mission accomplished. Like what's the big deal? You can sort of hedge your bets also. If, like for instance, my Panasonic can shoot in 4K. So if I'm going to export this in 1080p, I shoot it in 4K, and then when I down res it, that sort of crushes the noise. The noise is still going to be there, but the pattern is going to be a lot smaller. That helps. But again, it's going to be what the story is. So is the noise going to be a deal breaker for your story? Not just for your image, but for your story? And most of the time I'd say probably not. You know, think of Sicario. Roger Deakins had them, you know, they were in the tunnels with night vision cameras, and you know, because he's brilliant, the narrative reason he did it was they were using night vision goggles, and so a night vision camera actually made literal sense, and that's why he's the king. But short of that, you know, unless you need a specialist camera for a really specialist situation, any camera can basically shoot this. And if this is too uncomfortable, you can always bring the light level up. It's not a coincidence that cinema cameras tend to be pretty bad in low light, because if you're going to go through the trouble of getting a cinema camera, you're probably going to go through the trouble of lighting the set. That's the way I think about it. And so, you know, ISO 3200, f2.8, and that's where my eye seems to think the world exists. And you can scale that down. So this lens is f2.8, but if you get a lens that does f2, that's a whole nother stop of light. So you can go down to ISO 1600 f2. If you have a lens that can do f1.4, that's a pretty bright lens. You can go stop down again. So instead of 3200, now you're at ISO 800 f1.4. A lot of cameras look really good at ISO 800. Consequently, if you have that bright of a lens, you can go back up to 3200. Now you have 2 extra stops of light. So if you really do need to look into the shadows for some reason, you know, you get that f1.4 lens, you get 2 more stops of light to look into the shadows. Yeah, you know, so in most circumstances, a camera can do whatever it's meant to do. It's nice when it's lit. When things are lit, I think things look better, because I'm not convinced this looks like much, but if that's the story you're trying to tell, if you need this really moody narrative look, or if you're doing a documentary and you can't place lights, then you're going to have to accept that this is what it is. And again, if you're in a bar, a smoky bar, you're doing a documentary, and it is this level of light, that actually makes sense. It would be kind of confusing if it was brighter, if that makes sense. So yes, you know, low light beasts like the A7S III, they're incredible, but in most circumstances, are they really necessary? I would say probably not, because again, ISO 3200 f2.8, it is what it is. You know, it's not a deal breaker for most situations, at least the ones that I've come across. So that's where I'm at. What do you guys think? Did everything I say make any sense at all? Am I just straight up wrong? Am I just a Blackmagic fanboy and hate Sonys, and you know, therefore my opinion doesn't matter? Like like, what do you guys think? Was this helpful? Is trying to what I'm getting at. See you next time.